Grixis midrange. We got some discard spells. We got some Nicol Bolas. We got some Kroxa. We got some Enter the God Eternals. Let's get killed by some Gruul. I would prefix this with this is a bad Grixis deck, but I feel like that's unnecessary because it's Grixis. You hope that the protests are mostly on the basis of economic lockdown combined with the short-sightedness rather than complaining about being home. In a way, Steric, but the people that are largely protesting, there's a reason why the overlap with... There's a reason why there's a large amount of... There's a reason why there's a large amount of overlap with people who are protesting closures and people who want to fly Confederate flags and wear MAGA hats. There is a reason why there is the large Venn diagram overlap between people stupid enough to vote for the GOP and people stupid enough to be protesting these lockdowns. That's not a mistake. Those two groups of people are very, very connected. That's, yeah. It's not an insignificant amount of overlap. It's a strong amount of overlap. Joke's on you. I got 2 discard spells. I might get to punch back here. Unfortunately, blue-black land, Agonizing Remorse. There's a good chance these Enter the God Eternals don't have much text here. Really? They took my removal spell. Alright, well, I'm going to take their Sabotage. And we'll get rid of this Legion's End here. Have your last 2 days been eat, sleep, magic, repeat? Yeah, about that. I guess it depends on if you count brutal, super punish for not taking the card. I guess it depends on if you count answering emails as part of magic. If they're magic related emails, do they count as magic? I've also still played a little bit of Raid while wrapping up. Gotta do my dailies. It's a real shame this can't hit Planeswalkers. Yeah, I got a little bit greedy there. I decided to take their Sabotage as opposed to just taking the Karn right away because I wanted my second Thought Erasure to also get to Surveil. And got pretty punished because they drew a counterspell. Thanks for the tier 2 and for the 2 months, Conchi Paws. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Grixis is fun when it works, right, Abe? And welcome to chat. So, a little bit of wrong half problem here. Our saving grace could be the opponent's deck also looks pretty controlling, so maybe they'll hopefully also experience a bit of this wrong half problem. The fact that they have this Karn sitting here going is pretty bad for us, though. Yeah, I probably should. Ooh. Oh. I should have played that land first. If they had a Thassa's Intervention there, I would have felt real stupid. It's quite possible I should just play this Ritual of Soot. Because if I played the Ritual of Soot, I could bid my top card and flip my Azcanta next turn. I was going to get ready to concede, but the fact that we both have Azcantas now means that we could possibly keep up here. Yeah, maybe I should have just fired that off last turn. Yes, I guess it kills Murderous Rider or card tokens eventually, so maybe we'll hold on to it. You can tell I'm low on sleep, chat, because I almost just responded to an idiot on my tweet about protesters being stupid. But then I thought for half a second more, and instead of responding, I blocked them. Take a deep breath and block. Breathe in and block. Breathe in and block. This card could be a counterspell, so I'm going to go ahead and Bedevil on their upkeep. I posted a status basically saying we needed more science education, and someone responded with, well, are you pretending there's no negative impacts to stay-home orders? It's like, well, that's not what I said at all. I said we should listen to the scientists. People are so fucking dumb. It's just unreal. Alright, we'll be done here. But what about this other thing? Listen, I really do feel for people who are experiencing economic hardship. And hopefully, I have a vain hope. Hopefully it's not a vain hope. I have a hope that's hopefully real. That, like, hopefully this will cause some people who are largely indifferent to who gets elected to wake up a little bit. But, like, when people wearing MAGA hats are upset that their businesses are closed, it's like you voted for the political party that wants to help billionaires instead of actual people. So, like, maybe you should vote for actual people that want to help you, instead of people that want to line their pockets and the pockets of the other wealthy people when something like this happens. Maybe having a system that has a little bit of socialism in it is probably a good thing. Because maybe it's possible for the world to pivot in a way that makes your privilege less present. And just maybe when you lose some of your privilege, you can appreciate the fact that, hey, maybe we should help people who are less fortunate. Maybe this will stomp some empathy into them. Or maybe they'll just continue being racist, selfish pricks. But, you know, who knows? One of those two things will happen, right? I think I take the Shark Typhoon. Man, should I have put Shark Typhoons in this deck? I totally should have put Shark Typhoons in this deck. I suspect it'll probably be option 2 as well. How's standard treating everyone so far? I love the mutate mechanic. It is like just pure gasoline. It's really sweet. All the decks, is that Waifu Gate? Waifu Gate, if you've not played with this card yet, let me tell you about the new card every control deck needs to play 4 of, and it's wonderful. This right here. This card is everything control decks want, and so much more. Yeah, a lot of people think that companions are too powerful, and they don't understand how good mutate is. Most people aren't bright. Hey, Turbo Banana. Thanks for the 7 months. Welcome back. Oh, Twitch usernames. Oh, Twitch usernames. I like how they Murderous Rider by Narset after it already drew 2 cards. Feels like we came out ahead on that one. You should look at my deck queue gate and take a look at the blue-black mutate flash list that's in there. I think it's got a lot of legs for bats and octopus. We'll probably get to that Tuesday or Wednesday on stream, but a few other folks have been kicking it around. They said they had good experience with it. Yeah, the snap deck mutate deck was sweet too. Let's read. Wonder if they'll bounce. Oh, they're making a token, sure. I think I'm just gonna start plussing this. Huh. What if I -3 this on here and exile a card from their hand? I think I'd rather draw. I'm looking for an answer to this Ashiok here, kinda. I get that this is kind of an answer. Maybe I'm just supposed to down tick this and then trade here. Yeah, maybe that's the line. I don't know, maybe they don't have a removal spell, then I'll get to use this again next turn. That would be nice. Hey, thanks for the 40 months, Dows. I appreciate that. Welcome back. 8 months till my castle so I can safely be away from the world. Welcome back, Turbrid. I think I'm betting that for now. Their hand's likely to be pretty empty here before long. I'm about to get disputed. Negated. Super punished for not, yeah, we're probably dead here. I should have down-ticked on this, I think. And I probably should have kept the land and exiled the Nicol Bolas there. Thanks for the 10 months, Fisher. Yeah, it feels pretty dead. Yeah, it's a good comment in general for local businesses. Gift cards are good. Buying products for delivery. 0 contact pickup. Gift cards are good. Gift cards are kind of like an advance loan to small businesses. Like, I'm giving you money now and I'm going to spend it later. I think I can keep this. Yeah, this is much better. Yeah, the other hand, I think if I had double black in my opening lands that first hand, I'd keep it. But I think without the colors to cast Bedevil, it's just not good enough. Fish. Okay. Well, my handful of cards that don't impact the board suddenly looking a lot less appealing. Take Miro Regery here because it lets them tap my blockers and stuff. Probably playing Narset next turn as like a distraction / look for Ritual of Soot. I'm allergic to fish, chat. I think I'd rather dig for Ritual than cast another Thought Erasure here.
My prowess is unmatched by my peers. Put thoughtfulness before action.
Yep. The downside to Narset finding it is they get to know it's coming. We've all been there, opponent. We've all been exactly where you're currently standing. Wait, did they not see the Ritual of Soot? Friendo. Alright, I mean, we take those. Yeah, there's not like the hope for no fourth land plan, I guess. Like, they have the instant speed merfolk, though, right? Like, I feel like they definitely should have just, like, end-step trickstered me. I mean, stuff like this happens on the ladder, too. The idea that, like, there's this place you can go where, like, people only play good Magic is a lie. This is starting to get serious. Should I be worried? No, it's perfectly healthy and reasonable. Thanks for the half a year each quit. Welcome back. I have another instant speed merfolk. Woof. Yeah, that's the big thing. And like that's something when people talk about like mistakes happening on stream, like I'm playing and reading chat and managing OBS and occasionally checking Twitter and like all these other things. And like, so I miss things. Like, think about how you play Magic Arena at home. How often do you only play Magic Arena? Or how often are you playing Magic Arena and watching a Twitch stream? How often are you playing Magic Arena and also doing something else? Yeah, like, they put Lethal on board, but the reason why their play was a mistake is they had Merfolk Trickster in hand, right? So they could have put Lethal on board without playing into the sweeper that they knew about. Tried and true classic. Flip my Bolas, minus my Bolas, get back my Bolas. You're starting to annoy me. When your Bolas gets to use your other Bolas, we've assembled the Bolastron. Until Amonkhet gets here, this is the Bolastron. Hopefully when Amonkhet Remaster comes, we get, is it 7 or 8 mana Bolas in the new one? At 7? Yeah. It'll be 6/6. Sweet, sweet Bolastron. Don't interrupt yourself, Nick. Come on now. Amonkhet coming back soon to Arena. Sometime this summer, we're supposed to be getting Amonkhet Remastered introduced for Historic. Historic's going to get several card injections this summer. It's going to get Amonkhet Remastered, it's going to get Jumpstart, and it's going to get the first installment of Pioneer cards. So you're gonna see this format change and get a whole bunch of new cards and added a whole bunch on top of the anthologies too. So like we're gonna get another Historic anthology towards the end of May. So I know Standard's super hype right now because it's fresh, and fresh formats are always awesome, but like Historic is a format that's going to stay fresh longer than a lot of other formats are. What is Jumpstart? Do we not know yet? We don't know what types of card. It's going to be like tribal type things, I believe. Here's a thing on Jumpstart. I'm just going to talk about. I think a couple Aether Gusts are fine. They have some green fish. Historic's basically going to get meaningful cards added to it every 6 weeks, which is great. Give us decent Goblin Lords, you cowards. I honestly would not be surprised if we see more Elf and Goblin tribal support added to the format via Historic anthologies. I think supporting tribal decks in formats like this is really good. I think tribal decks generate the types of Magic you want people to play on average. And I think they're the types of decks that lots of people really like to play. So, like, we've seen Elvish Visionary, we've seen Miro Regery. So, they're calling it Amonkhet Remastered, which if you're not familiar with how those sets have gone on Magic Online, it means it'll be a mix of Amonkhet and AHK together. They'll take cards they want from both and try and create a reasonable limited format out of it and get the cards they want for Constructed at the same time. Yeah, usually they create slightly higher powered limited formats is the end result. Then better to use the Dragonfire there in case they drew another speaker. Nah. And keep their board clean. There's a good chance Jumpstart has a bunch of tribal stuff in it, based on the description. And again, I think it would be incredibly smart on their part to lean into tribal stuff in Historic. I love these Flipwalkers. I really hope one of the historic anthologies gives us Flip Nissa, Flip Jace, Kythian, the set of Origin Flip Planeswalkers. They're such great designs. Just powerful cards that are also interesting. If they gust this, we'll bottom it since we have a second one. Yeah, when Jace Fridge Prodigy will only cost 4 wild cards, right? Yeah, honestly, a flip Teferi could be sweet. Again, it's important to remember that, like, just because like Narset and Teferi had bad designs doesn't mean every planeswalker around them has to be terrible. I don't think the new Narset's very good. I've been cutting new Narset from all the decks people submit to me with her. We played her a little bit. I've watched a bunch of other people play her. The card is just not impressive. It's not worth the 4 mana you spend on it. Since Teferi can time travel, I hope they'd be able to flip back and forth between sides. That'd be a sweet design. Kind of like, was that Arlen Cord, right? Was like a werewolf planeswalker that could do that? Yeah, like maybe at 3 mana she'd be playable. Yeah, I think even at 3 mana she's just worse than this planeswalker a lot of the time. Well, Garruk didn't flip back. So Garruk was a planeswalker that transformed, but he didn't transform back, right? Yeah, actually, 4 mana Garruk could be a sweet one. Garruk Relentless is one I would love to have in Historic too. Could we have like just a Planeswalker Historic anthology? I would like Garruk Relentless, and I would like 4 mana Kaya. What else? Who else would I like? I like the Flip Planeswalkers. Guys, just have all of the sweet Planeswalkers that have ever been printed. No, not War of the Spark. I said the sweet Planeswalkers. Yeah, let's get Dak Faden up in here. That sounds great. I don't think I want Mind Sculptor in Historic. I think I would like I think Architect of Thought. I think Architect of Thought would be a fine one. Bant Tameo, yeah. And some of these we're guaranteed to get eventually, right? Like some of these are ones that are coming with Pioneer. A lot of these we're gonna get guaranteed when Pioneer comes to the platform. But like things like Flip Garruk, for instance, he was Innistrad, right? So like he wouldn't guaranteed come when we get Pioneer on the platform. Yeah, I actually think Renin 6 would be fine in this format. You could definitely print him with just Babeled Passage and no Wasteland. That seems fine. And in addition to getting Amonkhet remastered this summer, G-Goat, we're also going to get a Pioneer Masters, which is going to inject a bunch of Pioneer staples into the platform. So it won't be the entirety of Pioneer, but it's going to be a good start. Eventually we'll have all of Pioneer on the platform, but to start, we'll just be juicing up Historic. Third land sounds great. Field of the Dead. It's been so long. Wonder if this is winnable. It's probably not, right? I never tweeted that I was live this morning. Whatever, we're almost done with this deck now. We'll tweet when we start standard. I played an updated Yarok field deck yet. What needs to be updated? I updated the Yarok field deck on my website with cards from the new set. And by that, I mean I added exactly a Sultai Cycle land to it, because I think that's all it needs. I cut one of the lands and added a Cycle land. This helps us hit a land drop next turn for Nikki B. To be fair, this deck was in the deck queue before the new set came out. The historic queue has been full for a while. Starting this week, I plan to do one historic deck a day and primarily focus on standard, especially with the open coming up this weekend. That's standard. But next week, I think we'll probably go back to doing 2 historic decks a day, just so the deck queue doesn't get too backed up on historic submissions. I promise that I'm not going to be live at all tomorrow. People who are struggling to keep up with the highlights from Hoaglandia, tomorrow will be your catch-up day. I'm going to be working, but I won't be live. Hey, Athor, thanks for the 8 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Bedevil's great. You love to see it. I outsmarted you eons ago. Blast Zone ticking up to tag the search. Do I want to bedevil this in response? If I bedevil this in response, I get to guaranteed flip. I get to guaranteed flip my Azcanta, even if I keep the card on top of my deck. So I think I'm supposed to. This puts card 7 in the bin. That's why I don't have to, like, bin a good card to flip my Search Tuner. Need to find a win condition here. I guess we have Kroxa in the bin. We might actually be okay here, huh? Although it's a little bit awkward that Ritual of Soot kills our Kroxa. Also kills our Enter the God Eternal tokens. Opponent's lands being super awkward here. They've got 8 lands in play, but they haven't triggered Field of the Dead yet. Yeah, something in this latest patch really messed up the animation on a number of cards. Or the display on a number of cards, whatever you want to call it. Cavalier Thorns is pretty scary. Not having any way to exile this is a big deal. Yeah, white black Luris won. So there was a 1K that ran on MTG Melee yesterday that had a Luris deck. I think it like 12-0'd to sweep through and win the event. It won a lot of matches of Magic. I just have so many Ritual of Soot. I think I'm just going to kill this and then Ritual. This list was submitted before the set came out, but I gave it a once-over. I didn't really think anything really looked like it needed to be added. Maybe I could have added some Heartless Axe, but there really weren't cards in Kiora for Grixis. Maybe Sharknado. I don't know. Oh, do they mill their island? Brutal. Well, awkward. Should I keep firing these off aggressively?
I won't forget our
Hey, thanks for 20 months, Beaks. Welcome back. Sure. So we'll probably run back the same play we just did this next turn. Just like Soot into Kroxa. Baby Godzilla and Shark Tornado are my two favorites. I really been impressed with the Mutate mechanic. Feels reasonably powerful and it's also been a lot of fun to play with. Vomit. Can't Legion's End that one. Yeah, both King of the Cosmos and Snap decks have been awesome. This game kind of feels like a good example of why Yarok Field is just so impossibly hard to beat for decks like what we're playing. We just don't have a real enough clock in our deck, and like, their long-term game plan is just so much more powerful than our long-term game plan. Just endless amounts of grind between their Uros and their Yaroks. Even Risen Reef and Field, just like, all the pieces add up together. Something we have a hard time with. Hey, Heartstat, thanks for the 2 months. Welcome back. As a good reminder for folks making card suggestions, instead of me telling you your ideas are bad, tell me why they're good. Otherwise, myself or a mod's probably going to frag you. No exile removal for what's it called feels a little bad. Probably just trim Bedevil so they're bringing in a bunch of Noxious Grasps. I think I want Scorching Dragonfire because you could tag Uro when it comes into play originally. Yeah, the Niv deck ended up looking pretty reasonable. I'm interested to see what it plays out like in practice. Narset's probably a little slow. I probably don't need all the rituals and the Narsets. I'm bringing in these two. Okay, let's try it. They kind of said at least. I got halfway there. They kind of said what problem it solves. They didn't recommend a card to replace. I don't know. So, like, the problem with a card like that is, like, okay, you want to put a card in my deck that's a clock. Okay, so you want to play a 2-drop in my deck playing Ritual of Soot. So, like, putting a creature like that in a deck that's looking to play a bunch of sweepers doesn't really work, right? Like, you don't want to play a bunch of 2-drops and then cast your Ritual of Soot on 4. Kroxa is a card that at least, like, gets a 1-for-1 out of them and takes a card out of their hand. And again, another thing to understand is, like, when you're building certain archetypes like this, like, you're just gonna have bad matchups. Like, you're right, this deck doesn't have a good way to apply pressure, and that's why it's bad in matchups like this. But, like, adding a bunch of pressure to the deck changes the deck. So, like, the conclusion there isn't just, like, if your conclusion is, let's add 2-drops that are aggressive to my control deck, your conclusion basically is, well, let's play a different deck. Which is a fine conclusion, but it's different than, hey, let's add a creature to this deck that we're currently playing. Yeah, and and Grixis aggro has been very good, right? In fact, my list of things to get done, I'm going to write that one down. Get a Grixis aggro. I need to message my art guy tonight and get a whole bunch of different banners done up for tomorrow, because I'm going to do some updates to the standard portion of the website and add a couple of historic decks as well. Yeah, that's the other question too, right? Like, every change you make has a real cost associated with it. That's why it's an important thing when you're talking about adding cards to a deck. You also need to examine simultaneously not just what you're adding, but what you're taking away. Because everything has opposite reactions as well. So, like, it's not just simple as saying, oh, let's add a 2-drop to make this matchup better because we need pressure. It's like, okay, well, I'm adding a 2-drop, and what am I cutting? That's why suggesting a cut is also important too, because when you suggest a cut, you're thinking critically about, or you should be thinking critically about, what else you're doing to the deck in order to make that change. You can't just, like, add a card. We're not playing Yorion, right? We can't play 80 cards. Maybe we should play Yorion, something like that. It's honestly kind of a good question. What's the better trade-off? Would we rather use Deckmaster, where there's no new cards in the overlay, or would we rather use Cardboard Live, where the board state is randomly incorrect? It's an interesting question. Have you played with the Abzan Mutator yet? No, I don't think that card's particularly good. That type of go big effect doesn't feel like it's very necessary in Standard at the moment. You actually can't use both. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. I think there's less this card is wrong than there is... I think that's an app summary. There's less this card is wrong than there is why aren't the new cards there on a direct comparison basis. Hey, Rocket Banana. Thank you for the entire year of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I believe Beansy leads the quest for Shillionaire with approximately 650,000 shillings at the moment. We might actually win this game, huh? We might actually win this game. White Black Lures fix the sideboard. We'll do Terror and Terror. I appreciate the support. Luris is currently bugged on Arena. I feel like it really gives us a ton of insight into the Magic devs' lack of working with the rules committee and writing test cases. Like, the number of edge cases that seem to not have been tested with companions on both Arena and Magic Online is kind of frustrating. What's this peasant currency called shillings, right, Beetle? Don't worry your head about it. Bugged in what way? So, for example, Gyruda is not supposed to be able to get stopped by Leyline of the Void. Luris is not supposed to cast X spells with converted mana cost greater than 2 total. It feels like they're not really working together at all. And they definitely should be. Luris can have X spells in the deck. You just can't cast X spells with total converted mana cost greater than 3. So for example, or total greater than 2. For example, if you have a spell that costs 1 plus X, you could only recast that spell with X equals 1 with Luris's rules. That's the thing that it doesn't do correctly. And again, like, these are edge cases, but like, for example, in the case of Luris and the case of Gyruda, both these edge cases are literally listed in the Gatherer rulings, I believe. So like, if someone thought to write these things down in the Gatherer rulings, they should also think to pass those pieces of information along to the teams writing test cases for both Magic Online and Magic Arena, and they should make sure to test those edge cases and make sure they work appropriately on the software platforms. Correct. Magic is also a game where there's just a lot of edge cases. And it's like, I don't fault them for missing edge cases. The thing that really stands out to me is that they thought to write down these edge cases in details on the Gatherer, but then also did not feel it was necessary to make sure those edge cases work appropriately on their software platforms. So like they got like halfway there. One of the teams was like, these are edge cases we need rulings for, let's write them down. And then they failed. And again, if you read Wizards of the Coast Glassdoor reviews, a lot of the things you'll hear there constantly that make it a bad workplace environment is that there's lack of communication. Yeah. So like one team was smart and they were like, okay, we need to address these things and let's make sure let's make sure we have instances. Yeah, and like the communication didn't get to the team writing the software that says, hey, these are edge cases, you need to make sure these work. And again, just to be clear what my position is, I don't think it's unreasonable to occasionally miss things. The thing that, in my opinion, is unreasonable is the lack of communication between their different groups because one team figured it out and another team didn't. So, like, they didn't just miss it, someone caught it and it didn't get communicated to everybody. That's the issue. Yeah, and that's almost assuredly, like people are talking about, they're just not communicating. That's almost assuredly the issue, right? Like these are almost assuredly the people writing the rules and writing the Gatherer rulings are different than the people who are testing Arena and writing Arena software. And like those two groups need to be intertwined to deliver a good software experience consistently. And it's currently very clear that they are not intertwined at the moment. Correct, Sir Elks. None of those replacement effects stop Gyruda. Yeah, and just to deliver the absurdity that is the people that make PR decisions at Wizards of the Coast, me talking about things like this and talking about how these teams need to be working together and this is an apparent issue from the outside looking in, saying stuff like that, if you're new to the stream, that's why Wizards of the Coast doesn't work with me. I'm not allowed to say things like that if I want to work with them. Which is silly, which is why I just don't work with them. So thanks everybody that subs and keeps me supported here. So I can do this without working with them directly. Ugh, Remorse is really good. They get to take our threat here. That's unfortunate. The follow-up Nicol Bolas was maybe going to drag us kicking and screaming across the finish line. We're going to have a little bit of an uphill battle from here now. That's a good pickup. Let's just take their Ashiok off the table. Will do Fistful of Kittens. I'll get that added after I'm done today. I made the mistake of looking at Magic Twitter and Reddit this morning. I almost didn't believe your comments on companion hate, but boy, is there some salt. Yep. I saw someone. I kid you not. Someone compared companions to Phyrexian mana. Someone genuinely thought that companions and Phyrexian mana were comparable. And I couldn't even. And for people that aren't familiar with what Phyrexian mana is, it's a really old mechanic that's super obnoxious. It literally lets you pay life instead of paying mana for things. So you literally just get to play things for free. And again, we're in a good spot here now. So we get to Kroxa and take their card away. And we get to Nicol Bolas and hammer this Ashiok. And then, like, I have Nick and Azcanta. Wow, that was a good Kroxa. Okay. And then, like, I'm one land away from flipping Nick over here. I feel like Marty posted a meme about this in the subs Discord that made me chuckle. I feel like everything you need to know about the Legacy community and how a lot of people there view cards. Obviously, this isn't everyone. This is the reaction I've seen from a lot of people. Is that people are looking at the Gyruda combo deck in Legacy, and their conclusion is that Gyruda is the problem, not Lion's Eye Diamond is busted. And it's just so wild to me that, like, the 6-mana 6/6 that you just always get to have in your hand, that's the problem. The 6-mana 6/6 that you get to draw consistently is the issue. It's definitely not the Black Lotus. Thanks for the 3-month Nerf Blaster. I think I'm actually keeping that and remorsing the Uro. Yeah, and that's a big part of it. I think especially in those communities like Modern and Legacy and Vintage, like, these people have played with these cards for forever, so in their mind, like, those cards can't be problems because that's how it's always been, right? It's like, could you imagine what the reaction would be? What if Wasteland wasn't a card and they printed Wasteland today? What if Wasteland was a brand new Magic card printed in 2020? Could you imagine what the reactions would be? Hey, Locke, thanks for the entire year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. There would be riots, right? Like, there's no way people would be okay with that as a new card. All right, well, we get to kill that at least. 31 cards left in my deck. Yeah, I kind of agree at the end of the day, like, Legacy's fun to blast off in, but the specifics of the format, I don't really bother getting caught up in. It's mostly whatever. All right, and just like that, we're behind. Need a live one here. What are the odds they took out their field? 0%. Okay. Just when you think you're out, they pull you right back in, chat. They will unfortunately get to delve away all of the useful things, or escape away all the useful things I might want to reanimate, though. For Black Red Luris, sounds good, Terran Terror. Thanks for the biddies. I appreciate it. I am going to be off tomorrow as a heads up. Just a good general reminder for everyone, by the way. I'm going to do another long stream today, most likely. And then minus 10k. Sounds good, Lobby. I'm going to do a long stream again today, but then I am going to take tomorrow off. I'm going to do some website updates tomorrow. Play some Switch with the kids. Maybe sleep a little bit later. Hey, Captain Red. Thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Want to say I appreciate that you use your platform to advocate for political intelligence. Thanks. Sleeping in's probably not possible because I have children. Like, I had intended to sleep till 8 o'clock this morning, and Jake dragged me out of bed at like 6:45. What was your submission, Archon John? Because usually when I do a build around submission, I rename them to whatever I built the deck to be. So maybe I built your submission. I do miss them occasionally too, but do you remember what your submission was? Website updates are happening tomorrow. My day off is actually a stream off day. I will still be working tomorrow. Sultai Midrange. The deck I ended up building ended up being a little bit more controlling, so that's the Sultai control deck. That's up on the, what's it called, site? Actual factual Midrange doesn't really exist right now. And I was looking at different options, and I felt like I had to either build Sultai Ramp or Sultai Control, and I decided to build a more controlling build as opposed to a Ramp deck. How long did you stream before it is profitable enough for it to be my job? My channel has been partnered for about 4.5 years. Is it 4? Yeah, my channel has been partnered for about 4.5 years. I was streaming for about, I don't know, 1.5, 2 years before I got partner. And I've been streaming full-time as a job for less than 2 years. Probably dead here at this point. Yeah, this game's had quite a few swings. I'm actually like, this matchup's pretty bad for the Grixis archetype, I think. Like most matchups. And I'm surprised we've stayed in this for as long as we have, honestly. We were ahead for a little bit. Correct. And it also just like another thing I think a lot of people don't understand with regards to streaming, like most things in life, you can't just do hard work. The idea that working hard and persevering will give you the rewards that you deserve for working hard is a lie in basically all facets of life. I worked very, very hard to make my stream what it is today, but the only reason my stream is successful today is because I was very fortunate in addition to working very hard. The thing I appreciate most about you in chat is that you take the 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typewriters approach to making Grixis work. And that being aware of that is one of the reasons why I always try and use my platform to advocate helping other people, because the idea that any of us can get anywhere reasonable in life purely on our own without being incredibly fortunate is ignorant to reality. That's just not how reality works. That was actually like a really good third game of Magic there. I know we ended up losing it, but like the back and forth was incredibly satisfying. Like I thought we were ahead a little bit, then we were behind a little bit, then we were ahead a little bit. The last Uro ended up putting us away. That hard work necessarily generates success is a lie told by the successful to legitimize the fact that they're successful and you're not. Yes, correct. A lot of people think that they're admitting they're a failure to acknowledge the fact that they're lucky to be where they are. Which of these things do I want? See, like, I'm actually not super interested in a lot of these things because I have Godzilla altar arts for a lot of these. I don't have a Godzilla one for that. Most of these I have Godzilla arts for, so I don't really care about getting the things in this mastery tree. Grixis mid-range. I don't know, chat. I think you could probably try some Shark Typhoons in here. I think there's a really good chance. That this card should just be in most blue mid-range end control decks. We played 4 of these in Jeskai control the other day, and it was quite stellar. That being said, I don't know if this archetype was actually, I think my big takeaway here, while looking at this build, I actually think these two together do a good job of applying a lot of pressure. Especially this card, like a 4/4 flyer kills people pretty quickly even on its own. I really don't think Kroxa was very good in this deck. Without things like Mire Triton or Tiamat Calls the Dead to like quickly escape this card consistently, it feels pretty underwhelming. And Enter the God Eternals is just so slow and so clunky, and there's only 2 copies that I feel like it doesn't help enough with this. Hey Ewok, thanks for the 16 months. Yeah, this fighting with Azcanta was also awkward at a couple of points too. Is flipped Nick 0 CMC? No. So once upon a time that was true. Actually, that's a misprint there. The converted mana cost on the flip side of these cards is 4. So the mouse over here is actually incorrect. So they changed that in the Magic rules at one point. I wonder how Arena behaves with it. I wonder if it treats it as 4 properly or not. All right, we're going to dive on into some Standard for the rest of the stream today. I'm going to go ahead and hit a quick ad roll while I get my client restarted, get my deck list updated everywhere. When we get back, we are going to kick the tires on some Niv Mizzet Reborn, featuring the Wellspring here as a companion. We'll be back in just a bit. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.